Why, hello. I didn't see you there. Welcome back to the Brothers' War. We have today a blue and black deck, and we have some pretty powerful rares, which I'm hoping will be able to carry us to victory, because the rest of the deck is a little bit on the weak side. So what are these rares? Blade Coil Serpent. X and 6 mana for a 5/4 artifact creature Serpent. When it enters the battlefield, for each blue we spent to cast it, we draw a card, and for each black we spent to cast it, our opponent discards a card. So typically when we cast this, it will be a 6 mana, we draw a card, they discard a card. Pretty good. We have the Temporal Anchor. 3 blue. At the beginning of our upkeep, scry 2. And then whenever we choose to put one or more cards on the bottom when we scry, we exile them and we can cast them instead. So effectively, it's 3 blue, draw 2 extra cards a turn, which is pretty dope. And then we have Gix's Command. 3 black for a sorcery, choose 2. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature, it gains lifelink. Destroy each creature with power 2 or less. Return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power among creatures they control. Typically, we'll be casting the last 2 modes. They sacrifice their best creature, we get back our 2 best creatures in the graveyard. Pretty dope. To fill things out, we have 2 Weakstone Subjugation as removal. We have an Evangel of Synthesis. This is the blue-black uncommon that I like so much. We've got 3 Scatter Rays. We've got 2 Curates. We have a light draw 2 card theme here. Urza Powerstone Prodigy, Wing Commando, Battlefield Butcher, Take Flight. You know, it's kind of a lot of okay to decent filler is the rest of the deck. We're just trying to survive to cast these big spells, and I'm going to hope that that's enough. There's only one way to find out. Join me. And here we go. An Island 3 Swamps, a Scatter Ray, a Wing Commando, and Moment of Defiance. We go first. This is a pretty weak hand, but can we afford to throw it away? Not really. I think we have to keep on the prospect of drawing one of our sick rares. I just don't know how likely it is that a 6-card hand would have been better than that. You know, this is a functioning hand, and if you mill down, you can easily get a non-functioning hand. Okay. Our opponent has gone Forest to Cassia's Dig Site, so they're just green so far. Now here's the question, do we run out the Wing Commando? I don't think so. We're just in zero rush to play anything right now. I mean, we'll probably be a little sad if they just don't cast any spells this turn. Oh, they do. They cast Fauna Shaman. Yeah. That's a fine Scatter Ray target. They obviously just drew that because they could have cast it last turn. Now we can run out our Wing Commando. So far, all we've drawn, other than lands, is a Depth Charge Colossus, which is a pretty bad card. There, Gix is caressing us. Indeed, they let us keep our stupid Depth Charge Colossus. Alright, so we attack with our Wing Commando. It's 20 to 18. I mean, we're down to 3 cards in hand. They have 5. They might be a little bit rampy, so big things might be happening soon. We may just have to run out our Depth Charge Colossus on 6 as a blocker. Depends what they do this turn, of course. Okay, they cast Emergency Weld on their Fauna Shaman. So they now have a 1/1 colorless creature and a Fauna Shaman. I mean, this could definitely get scary very quickly. We drew Blade Coil Serpent. Do we just run it out? Yeah, probably. Okay, so our opponent discards a card. And we are going to draw a card. We drew a Scatter Ray. I definitely don't mind that. This turn, though, our opponent has access to 7 mana, and they have Fauna Shaman. But they tap it all and cast Iron Claw Crusher. 7 mana 4/6 when it attacks, target attacking creature gets +X/+O, where X is its power. So creature gets +4/+O. Okay, we drew Take Flight, which means we can play a land, take flight on our Blade Coil Serpent, activate Prowess on Wing Commando. We hit them for 9, draw a card off of Take Flight, and now we have a Scatter Ray for their next play. Hopefully. Yes, they go for Philology Dragon Engine. That is a great thing for us to have countered. Now our opponent is kind of priced into trying to race us because all of our creatures have flying. I mean, they're tapped out. They're just dead. We have 9 flying power. They have no way to block it. Yeah, they're dead. Very good. Well, that draw developed pretty nicely, actually. Gotta give thanks. It is the time of the year, after all. 1-0. Let's go to game 2. Game 2, our opponent goes first. We have Combat Courier and Curate to draw cards, and Philology Archaeologist, I suppose, and a Blade Coil Serpent. Seems a-okay. Opponent goes Force Springleaf Drum. Very interesting. We'll go Combat Courier. We drew a Scatter Ray, which is nice, because it means next turn we can hold up Scatter Ray and Curate. They cast a Tamokul Honor Guard, 3/1 Ward 2, and a Haywire Might. Tamokul Honor Guard really stinks. 2 mana, 3/1 Ward 2. I mean, our Combat Courier is just going to block it quite effectively. Our opponent casts our Gothian Sprite. Do we Scatter Ray it this turn? I don't think so. I'd rather save our Scatter Ray for something more substantial. They're attacking with just the Haywire Might. That's fine, we'll take 1. And now we can Curate, Surveil to draw a card. Do we want to draw a land? Or an Urza this turn? I guess we want to draw an Urza this turn. We do want lands, so both those can stay on top. Okay, so now we can play a land and cast Urza Powerstone Prodigy. No attacks. Our 1/1 and our 1/3 are going to hold their team back fairly well. They're sort of looking through their creatures right now. Okay. So they prototype out a Rust Goliath. This is a 5 mana 3/5 Reach Trample. That's definitely decent. Okay, so this turn we could cast Philology Archaeologist, which would let us block an additional creature, or we can activate Urza Powerstone Prodigy. We probably just want to activate Urza Powerstone Prodigy. Because our team is already holding back these 3 creatures. And casting Philology Archaeologist is going to let us block the Rust Goliath. So we'll pass to them. We'll hold up Scatter Ray, and we'll have an Urza activation. They go for Deathbloom Ritualist. 3/5 tap for X mana, where that's the mana in your graveyard. I mean, it's a little bit unfortunate, but we will Scatter Ray that. Just don't want them to have another 3/5 creature on the battlefield. They attack with the Goliath, no blocks for us. And then we get to activate Urza, which lets us loot an Evangel Synthesis. That's good. We'll ditch a Philology Archaeologist. And we drew Weakstone Subjugation. That's superb, actually, because that lets us Weakstone the Rust Goliath. And then we get to cast Evangel Synthesis, which lets us loot. We drew a Depth Charge Colossus. This puts us in a tricky spot because we have the 6th land in hand. I guess we will ditch that land because we have a draw and a loot still, so we're pretty well assured that we will be able to cast Blade Coil Serpent next turn. Opponent does nothing. Cool. I guess, yeah, we activate Urza, drew a land. Now we discard a card. Ugh. I think we just keep discarding lands, though. I don't want to discard this Colossus. We need the action. Please be a land. We drew the Temporal Acre, another 6-drop. Okay, so we kind of have to bite the bullet and activate Urza right now. We drew Take Flight. Okay, so now we'll discard the Depth Charge Colossus, make a Power Stone, and then we'll play Take Flight on Combat Courier and attack them with the Combat Courier. So let's just draw a card. I understand that they can Haywire Might and take out the Take Flight, but that gets their creature off the battlefield. We still got to draw our card, which was a land. And then we can play our final land. Okay, not a bad turn. They play another land, and then pass. Great. We drew a Desynchronize. That'll be very good later. Okay, so now we have all the mana that we need. And they have one card left in hand that they just keep not casting, so I think we just played Coil Serpent them. So we draw a card, they discard their last card, which was Painful Quandary, a really bad spell. Okay. And now, I guess we don't really have anything to do. Yeah, we're just going to pass to them. Oh, we could have attacked with our Evangel of Synthesis, because it had Menace. Ooh, okay. So now their Argothian Sprite has 7 mana available. So every turn, if they want to dump all their mana into it, they can put 2 counters on it. I mean, that's interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and activate Urza. Get to loot. A Curate is good, but not as good as the rest of this hand. Yeah, we're going to ditch the Curate. I mean, now we just get to go kind of hog wild. We have the Temporal Anchor, which will let us draw 2 extra cards a turn. We can also just desynchronize their Argothian Sprite. Boy, I don't know what to do. I think we just get the Temporal Anchor out here. They basically have 1 turn to stop that. Otherwise, we just go bananas. It's in the turn. Yep, they're continuing to put counters on the Sprite. Makes sense. They play a land, so they're Hellbent. I gotta assume they won't attack this turn. No, they are attacking. I mean, they could do 8 damage to us right now. Presumably they will. Yep. 8 to 22. Our turn. Now we get to scry 2 lands. And we drew another land. Okay, so let's play a land from exile. And let's desynchronize. No, we can save the desynchronize and let them put more mana into the Argothian Sprite. Instead, let's just attack with everything. So they're trading the Tamokul Honor Guard with our Evangel of Synthesis, which suits me just fine. Then, can we cast both Battlefield Butcher and Desynchronize? We cannot. Can we cast Combat Courier and unearth it? Yes, we can. Excuse me, unearth it and then cash it in. Draws us another card. Gix's Command. Yeah, that's pretty good, I would say. So now we can just end the turn. Yeah. Let them spend their whole turn on our Argothian Sprite. They cast Fauna Shaman. It's their second Fauna Shaman deck we've gone up against. Go to blockers. And just go ahead and desynchronize this. Oh, sorry, no blocks. And then we'll go to desynchronize. And then we get to scry 2. Moment of Defiance and an island. Wing Commando and Moment of Defiance. We'll go ahead and exile them both. Drew another land. Play a land. Go to combat. Attack them for 6. They're blocking with their Fauna Shaman. So I think we're going to Moment of Defiance here. It kills the Fauna Shaman, which prevents them from doing any shenanigans and getting some bomb from their deck. And also gains us a little bit of life on the way. Let's see. Now what do we want to do? I guess we want to cast Battlefield Butcher. Leaves us 3 mana available. We know they're drawing their Argothian Sprite, so keeping up Scatter 8 does nothing, so we can just play Wing Commando. And then end the turn. So now, yep, they just concede. Because now they could play that Argothian Sprite. We could Gix's Command, kill it, and then just Alpha Strike them to death. Alright. Victory. 2-0. Let's go. coming through with the rares. Alright, let's go on to game 3. We go first. 4 lands. Scatter the Temporal Anchor, and Battlefield Butcher. The 4 lands are Island, Swamp, 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 so the Temporal Anchor is a little dicey. We need 3 blue sources for that. Again, though, are we in better shape if we mulligan? I don't think so. We have a piece of removal and Scatter Ray plus a Battlefield Butcher to hold down the fort. Ooh, we may well pay, though, because our opponent goes Plains Eotian Frontliner, 1 mana, 1/1. When it attacks, another creature gets +1/+1, and it has Unearth. So, obviously, we're going against the aggressive white deck. So, we might get punished for this. We drew a Curate, though. That's pretty good. That will hopefully help us get to our blue sources we so desperately need. Okay, they're just passing to us, so we get to Curate. Another Curate and a Swamp. I will take another Curate, I suppose. We really want to get to those blue sources. We drew Gix's Command, which should be very good. The destroy each creature with power 2 or less could be very good for us. I think this turn we just go ahead and play a Battlefield Butcher. Or do we? No, we don't. We have Curate and Scatter Ray up still. And we don't super care about this 1 damage per turn. Okay, opponent is blue-white. So they're on the Soldier's plan. They hit us for another 1. And now what do? A Burnished Heart. This is a 3 mana 2/2. Pay 3 and sacrifice it. Search your library for 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. I don't think we want to Scatter Ray that either. Our Gix's Command could get that. Instead, we're going to Curate again. 2 islands. Now that's the sauce right there. So we'll draw an island, and then we draw another island. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, I think we just pass. If they play something that Gix's Command can't get, we Scatter Ray it. If they play something Gix's Command can get, we probably just Gix's Command. They play Stone Retrieval Unit. 4 mana 2/3, enters the battlefield, make a tapped Power Stone token. Yeah, and I think at this point we just run out our juicy 3-for-1 with Gix's Command. But the problem with it is right now is that it doesn't do anything else. It's just kill these 3 creatures. So in that case, I think but we can do that and then next turn Temporal Anchor. Boy, it's tricky. I think we're gonna Battlefield Butcher. This will hopefully tempt them into casting another spell. Something big that Gix's Command can eat up. They're attacking with all 3 creatures. Or are they? They're thinking about it. Not the Ocean Frontliner. Yep, this makes sense. We'll go ahead and block 2 damage. I mean, if we could get a combat trick out of them, fantastic. Okay, they're sacrificing the Burnished Heart. Sure. We take 2, it's 12-20. And they do nothing else. Okay, so at this point, we just go for the Temporal Anchor. And they did not instantly kill it, so they don't have a disenchant. Okay, so they play a Depth Charge Colossus. This is great. Okay, we scry a Wing Commando and our own Depth Charge Colossus away, so they get exiled so we can cast them. So now we get to Gix's Command. I guess we could attack first, because we're going to lose our Battlefield Butcher. Yeah, let's go ahead and attack with our Battlefield Butcher. They take it. Okay, finally someone plays sensibly and takes a hit from a 1/4. Okay, let's go ahead and Gix's Command and destroy each creature with power 2 or less, and each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power. So the field is totally clean, and we have a Scatter Ray up. And we have a Temporal Anchor drawing us 2 extra cards a turn. This scatter is a little questionable at this point, because our opponent has a total of 9 mana, 10 with a Power Stone. They go for Urza's Command. So they make a Construct, and then scry 1, draw a card. Okay, so we scry 2, a Combat Courier, and a Swamp. Let's go ahead and scry both those. And we draw a Weak Stone Subjugation. That'll be good at some point. So at this point, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So next turn we can Depth Charge. This turn we can Wing Commando, Combat Courier. So that's 2 of our cards from exile. And we'll probably cash in our Combat Courier on their turn. Yeah, let's go ahead and pass now. Still got our Scatter Ray up. Lay Down Arms they cast. Just 1 mana, exiling our Wing Commando. We do gain 3 life, so that's kind of nice. 15 to 19 now. They unearth the Yotian Frontliner. They're attacking with both creatures, of course. So now the Construct is a 4/4 this turn. And we get to block and cash in our Courier. Getting another Scatter Ray. Do not hate that. They hit us for 1. It's 14 to 19. And that's their turn. Okay. Thopter Mechanic and Island that we scry away. And we drew Blade Coil Serpent. So now we could make them discard 2 cards with Blade Coil Serpent, and we draw 2 cards. It's probably the best thing we could do. That'll leave them with 1 card in hand, and we have Weak Stone Subjugation to take care of it. Alternately, we can go for Depth Charge this turn, and then Blade Coil them next turn when we can get 3. Sounds fine. So we'll tap 9 and cast our Depth Charge Colossus. Urza's Rebuff. Okay, this is great. I mean, not great that it got countered, but it means that our Blade Coil Serpent will hopefully get through. They played Third Path Savant. This is interesting. So Third Path Savant is 3 mana for a 2/3, but you can pay 7 to draw 2 cards, which they could even do this turn. That's pretty wild. We unfortunately can't do anything about that either. We have our Weak Stone Subjugation, but the Third Path Savant actually doesn't need to tap. Okay, let's go ahead and play a land for the turn, which we want to be a swamp, and then we can Blade Coil for the full 10, which means we get to draw 2 cards and they discard 2 cards. Now presumably they're going to activate their Third Path Savant, so they have some options on what they discard. They did not. They just discarded a Coilless Rock and a Foundry Inspector. Yeah, they definitely should have activated. And then they went to their turn and didn't activate Third Path Savant. Am I missing something here? Now they're activating it. Alright, very interesting. So they cast their own Weak Stone Subjugation on our Blade Coil, and then hit us for 4. We're down to 8. Urza Power Stone Prodigy and land. Neither of these help us right now, so we'll scry those 2 away. We're down to 8 cards in our library, so we gotta be a little careful here. Moment of Defiance is interesting. We have a great problem right now that we have so many cards that it's hard to see what we actually have. So I guess we play Goring Warplow for the full 6. 5/4 Death Toucher is good. We want to hold up some Scatter Rays probably. Probably 1 is good enough. So we can cast, what? A Thopter Mechanic? Sure. And then pass to them. So now we have Scatter Ray available. Third Path Savant. I don't love the card, but in this particular situation, it's pretty good. It's allowing them to draw 2 cards a turn. But the thing is, Our Temporal Anchor is drawing us 2 cards a turn for free. We paid 6 mana once. They have to spend basically their entire turn's worth of mana on the 3rd Path Savant if they want these cards. We're going to stop using our Temporal Anchor, though, because we're down to 7 cards. They recommissioned their Foundry Inspector. So they're spending their turn making a 4/3. And that's pretty weak. Weak Stone. As in, we're going to Weak Stone Subjugation it on our turn. They activate 3rd Path Savant to draw 2 cards. So now with the Temporal Anchor, we're just going to be reordering the top 2 cards. An Island and a Scatter Ray. So we'll draw another Scatter Ray. I mean, I won't lie, having 3 Scatter Rays in hand is not a bad thing. So let's see. I think we're going to start by Weak Stone Subjugation on the Foundry Inspector. Let's go ahead and pay the 3 there, and then we can go to attacks. Attack with both the Goring Warplow and the Thopter Mechanic. Let's see what they do for blocks here. If they're foolish, they'll block with the 3rd Path Savant. They are foolish, so now we get to Moment of Defiance. Our Thopter Mechanic. We kill their Savant, our Thopter lives, we gain 5 life, and they're down to 13 to 14 now. Okay, awesome. So now, do we want to do anything else this turn? Yes, we do. We want to cast a... No. Philology Archaeologist is basically just going to kill us, so we can't cast that anymore. Yeah, let's go ahead and... Let's do nothing this turn. We just have a bunch of Scatter Rays in hand, and next turn we could take flight our Goring Warplow. They cast Lorien, Disciple of History. When it or another legendary enters the battlefield, return an artifact from your graveyard to your hand, which will be a Depth Charge Colossus. That's fine. Yep, that's what they do. They go ahead and cast it, so we get to Scatter Ray it. Eat my whole butt. A Weak Stone Subjugation draw. That's very good. We will take that for sure. We're down to 4 cards in our library. So we really can't take flight, unfortunately, because it'll kill us too quickly. We could Weak Stone Subjugation one of their creatures and attack with a 5/4. Probably is our best bet. So let's tap down the Construct, go to combat, attack with the Goring Warplow. It's 13 to 9 now. Let's see. It's in the turn. So we're on 4 cards in library, they're at 9. If we can get a blocker out of the way, a Take Flight on Thopter Mechanic plus a Goring Warplow will be a win for us. But that's assuming they don't play a creature, which is pretty unlikely. There's also a Combat Courier waiting in the wings. We don't want to draw a card with it because we're so low on our library, but an extra 1 point of damage could be the difference. Opponent's really in the tank right now. I guess that's a good thing because... They play Urza, Prince of Krug. This is a 4-mana 2/3. Artifact creatures you control get +2/+2. Glad we tapped down their Construct. But they can pay 6 and create a token of target artifact they control, except it's a 1/1 soldier. That's pretty scary. It also means they played another legendary creature, so they can again get back their Depth Charge Colossus. Man. Which they do. So yeah, now they're making a copy of their Construct, which is a 7/7 now. And now they cast a Power Stone Engineer. Yikes. Okay. So we still could win. We've drawn. There's nothing that we've drawn. There's 2 lands on top of our 4-card library. The game's going to be over very shortly, so we can mill away one of these. Is that correct? Yes. So we'll mill away one of those lands. We have 2 cards left, so we can play a land. We need to not die next turn. So what we can do this turn is we can take flight on our Goring Warplow. Attack with it. We draw a card. We drew a Desynchronize. Very good. And then next go to blockers. And then go to damage. Oh, we're going to lose though, because when we attack with our Goring Warplow next time, we just lose automatically with it. So we shouldn't have done that. So putting that extra land on bottom has actually killed us here. I think we might have been dead anyway. No, because we could have just blocked the Construct with our Thopter mechanic. We'll see what happens, because if they're not paying attention to the library size, and we go to desynchronize the Construct, they might just surrender. Their Might Stone animusing their Power Stone. If they all out attack us, I guess we win. Okay, they used Urza, Prince of Krug, to make another... do we win, though? Because what we can do now is block their 8/8. Will we still die, though? B7. We'd take exactly lethal. Okay, let's start by desynchronizing a Construct. Oh, I think we messed up again. If we desynchronized Urza, we could have potentially stopped enough damage to live. Oh, we got a 1/1 Thopter, that's cool. So, oh, they surrendered! Oh, they didn't realize we had an empty library. They didn't realize we had an empty library, and that if we attacked with our Goring Warplow, we would draw from an empty library and lose, so they surrendered. Wow, we did not deserve that win, because we punted like 2 to 3 times, and they did actually die. Ah, oh, they surrendered. Oh my god. Actually insane. Well, GG, I guess. 3-0. I'll take it. I will absolutely take it. I'll take it all the way to game number 4. Okay. Coming off of one of the wilder games we've played on here. Our opponent is going first. We have 4 lands, Scatter 8, Urza, Power Stone Prodigy, and Death Charge Colossus. We will keep that. None of these hands have looked spectacular, but our ability to cultivate and grow a hand has been quite nice. Opponent goes Mountain, Evolving Wilds, nothing else so far. We have a Scatter 8 up, which I like. Let's see if they are playing the dreaded red-white. They're playing red-blue-white, excuse me, and into a Chromatic Lantern. Is that Scatter Ray worthy? I don't think so. Do we just counter their next play? Or do we play at Urza Power Stone Prodigy? Yeah, I reckon we just play an Urza Power Stone Prodigy. I'm sick of waiting to develop my draws just to hold up a Scatter Ray. Pretty wild deck so far. Another Urza Prince of Krug. Well, that would have been pretty decent to counter, huh? Well, we're just going to have to try to win with our Urza, which is going to take flight and hit them for 2 vigilance. Draw us a card. Thank you. They are attacking us for 2, which we will block. They play Phalanx Vanguard. 2/2 vigilance when an artifact enters the battlefield under your control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Unimpressed. Let's go ahead and attack them for 2 and draw a card. So we're already well ahead with this Urza. We have 5 mana available. We could cast a Goring Warplow for 2, but I don't really want to do that. I think we just end the turn, hold up our Scatter Ray. They cast Stern Lesson. Draw 2 cards, discard a card, make a tap Power Stone. Sure. Go nuts. This should be a good Scatter Ray turn. They cast Obliterating Bolt on our Urza Power Stone Prodigy. Yeah, which I mean, I guess that means we're going to activate its ability to loot. We got tons of value off of this guy. And now we discard a card. We're discarding this Philology Archaeologist. Unfortunate they had removal. I would have loved for them to go for a 6-drop that turn that we could just scatter Ray. So far, their Urza Prince of Krug is a 4-mana 2/3, but could definitely get out of hand very shortly. They play their own Urza Powerstone Prodigy, which we will scatter Ray, and then we will curate at the end of their turn. I mean, this is going swimmingly, I have to say. An island and a swamp. We're already going to hit 6 mana this turn, so we'll just pitch these 2 lands. We drew another land. Cool. Our turn. And we drew another land. Thank goodness we ditched those 2, huh? So we could Goring Warplow to stop their attacks this turn, or we could Temporal Anchor, or we could Death Charge Colossus on 6. I kind of want to save our Temporal Anchor, because I think there's a decent chance they have a Disenchant in hand. So let's just cast a Goring Warplow, let's say. Alright. They are on 6 mana now, so they can start copying their Chromatic Lantern, say, every turn. Which is exactly what they do. So now they're making 3/3 Chromatic Lanterns every turn. I mean, it's quite bad for us. They didn't kill our Warplow, so now we get to Temporal Anchor. No attacks. Urza's a very big problem for us. Probably our best bet now is going to be to do something like draw Gix's Command, and then in one turn desynchronize Urza, and then Gix's Command. It's not that good though, because then they just redraw Urza, and we're just in the same boat again. Boy, it's pretty rough facing Urza Prince of Krug every game. Yep, they're just going to activate it. This is what they should do. Just activate it every single turn. That's all they do. I mean, at the very least, they should have waited till our turn to do that, but whatever. Okay, an island and a Thopter Mechanic. We'll scry those 2 away. And we drew an island. Boy. We really need to draw something better. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and attack them at this point, though, with our 5/4 Death Toucher. They are in the tank for some reason. I guess they have a lot of mana available. They have all these dumb Chromatic Lantern tokens running around. It's a pretty sick combo, actually, where you make the Chromatic Lantern tokens. Okay, wait, they just take it. So maybe they were thinking about where to block or not. So now we just get to cast our Depth Charge. Oh, no, we don't. We don't have enough mana for it, of course. In that case, we're still going to do it, I think, for its weaker version. They cast another Stern Lesson. Oh, I was saying earlier, Urza being able to make these creature tokens that are actually Chromatic Lanterns means that he's making 3/3s every turn. And these 3/3s can then tap to activate Urza's ability more. They cast Hercule Master Wizard. This is the really annoying text box. At the beginning of your end step, if you cast a non-creature spell, you reveal the top 5, and you can get another of that type. And then now their Bitestone's animating a Power Stone. I mean, it's getting very bad very quickly. Attacking us for 6, we could block it with our Depth Charge Colossus. I think no blocks. Evangel of Synthesis and Curate. These don't help us. We specifically need Gix's Command, which we have not drawn yet. So now what? I suppose we hold back blockers. We curate. We hold up Curate, Scatter Ray, Desynchronize. Yeah, I suppose that will have to do. Opponent is running low on cards, but it doesn't really matter because all they have to do is activate Urza Prince of Krug every single turn. Like, multiple times every single turn. They're just attacking us with Mightstone's animation again. I guess we go ahead and block. Yeah. One blocker, and then we can desynchronize Urza, which will mean that our Colossus will live and their Mightstone will die. We get to scry 2, which turns into a draw 2 because of our temporal anchor. I mean, it looks really good right now, except for the fact that they have Urza, Prince of Krug, which they're just going to draw on their turn. They cast Great Desert Prospector, which is going to... It's a 5-mana 3-2, and it makes a Power Stone for each creature. They control each other creature. So they're going to make 5 more Power Stones. So basically our Scatter Ray is never going to do anything. Wing Commando and Moment of Defiance. They also do not help us. So right now we're down to 12 cards in our library. Oh man, I so need to draw Gix's Command. This turn it would have been great. If we could have done Gix's Command this turn. I guess we still possibly can. I have a Curate in hand. Well, let's see if we can get it. We have a Swamp and a Blade Coil Serpent. I mean, Blade Coil Serpent is very good, but it's not Gix's Command, which I think is the only way we're winning this game. So I have to surveil it to our graveyard. Makes me sad, but we drew a Combat Courier, so we have another bite at the apple. So let's go ahead and play that. Activate it, draw a card. Put you another land. See, that's the problem, is that we need to have drawn this turn. We needed it. I guess what we can do is attack with our Goring Warplow. Go to blockers. They're blocking with a couple creatures. Okay, good. We can now Moment of Defiance our Goring Warplow. Which means they lose those 2 creatures. We gain 7 life. It's 17 to 11. That was something. Is it worth it to hold up Scatter Ray? Not really. Yeah, holding up Scatter Ray is pointless, so instead we can just Evangel of Synthesis. Draw a card, discard a card. And we have 3 cards left in our library. There's basically no way for us to win at this point. So they recast Prince of Krug and they make another 3/3 Chromatic Lantern. And they do it again. There's the Gix's Command. Just so annoying, isn't it? It's in the last 3 cards of our library. It's actually second from bottom. Well, them's the breaks, I suppose. Let's see. We could cast, or unearth rather, Combat Courier. Go ahead and activate it, so we draw our second card for the turn. We are now in empty library. It's a 3/3 menace now, and now we get to attack with all. Oh, but that doesn't help, does it? Because Gix's Command, of course, is a sorcery. Yeah, I mean, they basically just get to block as they choose. Okay, they just block our 2 big dorks. Go to 8, and that will do it. Well, we had a good plan. We were playing to our outs quite effectively there. We knew that the way to win was Gix's Command, so we were just digging towards it the entire time, and it just happened to be the second card from bottom. That will happen sometimes. Randomness is random, after all. 3-1. Let's see if we can pick up some more wins. Game 5. You know, to be perfectly fair, we should be 2-2 right now, based on our poor play, but what can you do? Opponent goes first. You have 3 lands, Island, Swamp, Swamp, Combat Courier, Wing Commando, Take Flight, Gix's Command. This is A-okay. This is probably the best opening hand we've had. The opponent goes Forest, Spectrum, Sentinel. 1 mana, 1/2, protection from multicolored. When a non-basic land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life. Joke's on you, we have 1 multicolored card, and we don't have non-basics, so eat it. And eat this Combat Courier as well. Well, this is a good start for us. And then they played Takacia's Dig Site. Second deck we've played against that went Forest, Takacia's Dig Site, and that's all they played. Well, Suits me just fine. Let's pass to them. Another forest for them. Okay, they're attacking with their sentinel now. Makes sense. No blocks for us, please. And now they play Argothian Sprite. What's with people in these Argothian Sprites? A Curate. That would have been great last turn. What can you do? Play our Wing Commando. No attacks. Are they mono green? Seen nothing but forest so far. They're attacking with their Argothian Sprite. Do we just trade? I guess so. And if they have a combat trick, they have a combat trick. They don't, so we just traded. Now they play Obstinate Baloth. 4 mana 4/4, gain some 4 life. That's a pretty good one. But it's not as good as this Take Flight on our Combat Courier, which we then hit them for 2 and draw a card. Very good. So this turn they get to hit us for 5, which, you know, isn't ideal. Okay, the Epic Confrontation. Fighting our Combat Courier with our Obstinate Baloth. At this point, are we just priced into Gix's command? Just killing both their creatures? I don't think so. I think what we do is we pass the turn to them. We have Curate up, which will let us hopefully put a good creature into the graveyard, which we can get back with Gix's command. They hit us for 5 again. It's 8 to 22. And they cast another Spectrum Sentinel. This card is not good. It does mean our Gix's command gets hit something else this turn, which is good, I guess. Okay, let's go ahead and Surveil to draw a card with our Curate. KT Curate. A Swamp and a Moment of Defiance. I mean, we're definitely getting rid of both these, but we drew another Curate. I guess we get to cast another Curate, so that's not the worst. Battlefield Butcher and Blade Coil Serpent. Now we're talking. Let's put the Battlefield Butcher into our graveyard so as to hide our Blade Coil Serpent. Our turn. Okay, beautiful. So now we get to just snap off a Gix's command. And with it, we are going to have them sacrifice a creature with the highest power. Yeah, I guess we can kill these 2 little Spectrum Sentinels. We're low enough, we need to. Good job, Gix. That's my dude right there. So now they're on 2 cards, now 3 when they draw up. They play a land and a Gaia's Courser. That's pretty good. So Gaia's Courser is a 5 mana 4/5. When it attacks, if there are 3 more creature cards in your graveyard, draw a card, which there are for them. So we are going to go ahead and cast our Blade Coil Serpent, which will let us draw 2 cards, and they will discard their last card in hand, which was an Epic Confrontation. That's good. Good to get that out, because they would have killed our Blade Coil Serpent for free. Swiftfoot Boots. This is an equipment that gives hexproof and haste, which they're not bothering to put on their Gaia's Courser for some reason. We will trade with the Gaia's Courser because we don't need them drawing an extra card every single turn. They play another land, so they're out of stuff. And that's great news for us because that means we get to Temporal Anchor. Now we really want them to miss this turn. They have a bunch of mana in Swiftfoot Boots. So if they play a big creature, we could be in a significant amount of trouble. They play Hoarding Recluse. Okay, that's not so bad. 4 mana, 2/3, reach Death Touch. They do Swiftfoot Boot it up, so we get hit for 2, which, you know, that's not great for us. 6 to 22, but I like that a lot better than them going sicko mode. I guess at this point we're just going to cast Depth Charge Colossus for 6. Because I want to be able to play Combat Courier from Unearth, attack with it, take that, 6 to 21, and then go ahead and cash it in for a card. A Goring Warplow, not bad. The Swiftfoot Boots are, oh boy, see, this is what I was worried about. They drew and cast a Boulder Branch Golem, 7 mana, 6/5, gains of 6. Ugh, don't like that. Ooh, let us draw this Weakstone Subjugation, though. And we draw a Scatter Ray. So we have 9 mana available, so we could, for example, Weakstone Subjugate the Boulder Branch Golem, pay the 3, go to combat, attack with the Depth Charge Colossus, taking them again down to 21. Let's go. And now on our turn, we could untap and block with the Colossus and hold up a Scatter Ray. Works for me. They attack into us, we will block with the Depth Charge. So now they're out of creatures. They have 1 card in hand. And our Gothian Sprite. Ugh, that's so annoying. 2 mana 2/2. It's the one that you can pay 7 to put 2 counters on it. So they'll get to do that every turn. On the plus side, we have a Goring Warplow. So we can just cast that for 2. No reason to go all out with it, because we're just going to have to block this Sprite. We can also cast Urza Power Stone Prodigy using the Temporal Anchor. This deck can certainly choose through our library. We have 9 cards left already. So it probably means we just need to stop drawing with it at this point. Try to win in the next 8 turns. They're at 21 though. It's going to be a difficult task. We've kind of used up all our juice as well. They're attacking with their Argothian Sprite. I mean, I see. Of course, the other part of text on Argothian Sprite can't be blocked by artifact creatures. So our Warplow actually isn't the solution we hoped. And, okay, now we have to scry these away, whether or not we want to deck ourselves. So we should have cast Warplow for the full. Another misplay. A lot of misplays this game. We play a Thopter mechanic because we have to as a blocker. At this point, I don't think there's much in our deck that's going to get us out of this jam. We have to kill them in the next few turns. Meanwhile, we have to chump block this Argothian Sprite every turn. We have to get them down from 20 in the next few turns. Yeah, there's just nothing. I'm going to go ahead and concede. We've used up all the things that could potentially get us out of this. Very unfortunate. I feel very sad about losing that game. They played multiple of those 1 mana 1/2s against us. Alas. Wow, this deck is now 3-2. We're on the verge of going 3-3 after a 3-0 start. Can we avoid it? Only one way to find out. Okay. This hand is pretty good. Island, Island Swamp, Scatter Ray, Urza, Battlefield Butcher, Goring Warplow. And we get to go first. Don't mind that. Player Island and pass. They go Plains pass. We drew a Swamp. Very good. They are white-blue. Okay, we drew another Scatter Ray. I actually like that. Do we just... This is always the thing. Do we hold up Scatter Ray for their turn 3 play? Or do you just go Power Stone Prodigy? I think we just Power Stone Prodigy. Again, I'm sick of making the mistake of holding up Scatter Ray. Okay. So on our end step, they played Ambush Paratrooper. 2 mana 1/2 flash flying, and then they play a Wing Commando. Pretty good. So now they have 3 power flying in the air. We'll attack them. They wisely take the damage. And now we just pass the turn. and hold up Scatter Ray, Curate. They hit us for 3, 16 to 19, and go for a Yoshin Medic, which we will Scatter Ray. Yoshin Medic's not the most threatening thing in the world, but we want to use our mana. And now we get to Curate. Get to Curate. Drew Desynchronize and Gix's command. Well, Gix's command is going to be sweet, so we just need the land to cast it. Okay, so now we don't want to play any more stuff that will get killed by Gix's command. So I think we just attack them for 1 with Urza. Pass to them. We have Scatter Ray if they play something big. They're just attacking us for 3 again. They play a Yoshin Medic, which is going to die to our Gix's command. Okay, we'll let it go. We draw the land, so we have Gix's command available. So with it, we can put 2 1/1 counters and lifelink on our Urza, and then kill all their stuff. Yeah, I mean, we're at 13. We don't want to keep getting hit like this, so we're just going to have to do that. All their creatures die. We hit them for 3. Gain 3 life, so it's 16 to 15 now. Now, if they are as low to the ground as they seem, life could get much better for us. Okay, they cast Static Net, so it's an Oblivion Ring. That takes out our Urza, sure. And at this point, we have a Philology Archaeologist. I haven't cast this yet, actually. It's a 2-mana 0/3. Mills 3 cards. We milled our Blade Coil Serpent. But we get a creature non-land card back. So we get a Moment of Defiance. Woohoo. That sucks to have milled our Blade Coil Serpent. We'll hold up Scatter Ray and Curate. Ideally, they go for something big. They do. They went for Mural Shield of Archive, a crazy mythic, which we just get to Scatter Ray. And hopefully we draw a land and play a Goring Warplow, which is exactly what we do. Okay. Opponent does nothing. I mean, I don't hate that. Let's go to attack. Attack with the Warplow. See if they have the Disenchant. Indeed they do. Well, we get to Battlefield Butcher. And we have a Curate up. So the Battlefield Butcher is 2 and a black for a 1/4. It has 5 tap, each opponent loses 2 life. That ability costs 1 less for each creature in graveyard. So actually it only costs me 2 right now. And that could be good enough. Okay. We have the Temporal Anchor as our top draw. So we will indeed draw that. And we draw Wing Commando. So now we get to go for... I guess we just start by attacking with the Battlefield Butcher. But they could have Urza's Rebuff as their last card, I suppose. Yeah, let's just play a Wing Commando this turn. I'm very suspicious that their last card is a counterspell. I played a land. And they are still holding up that thing? Okay. Well, we're going to put it to them, because we're going to cast Take Flight on our Philology Archaeologist. If they have a counterspell, they need to use it on this Take Flight, because it will just draw us a card every turn. Yes, they have Laran's Escape. So target artifact or creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Okay. I'm happy to get that out of their hand. Ooh, they scryed a card to the top. Don't like that. Huh. But, okay, wow, crazy turn of events. So, they cast Laran's Escape. Oh, of course, they shame conceded. So they cast Laran's Escape, which, as I said, reads white. Target artifact or creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Thinking that would stop, I did too, thinking that it would stop my Take Flight from hitting it, but it gives it hexproof, which means it can't be targeted by my opponent's stuff. So my Take Flight still lands on it. I don't think that game was over necessarily. But yeah, that's a pretty big blunder by them. Ooh, the shame concede. I love it when it happens to my opponents. That's the thing. As bad of plays as I make, I will never shame concede. I will sit in my pool of guilt and ride it out. Okay. 4 wins. Things are already pretty good. Can we get into the black once again? Okay, still in do or die mode. We go first. Love it. Scatter Ray, Urza, Battlefield Butcher, Desynchronize. Another fine hand. Lead with our island. See what our opponent is working with. An Evolving Wild, so who knows. They're going to go ahead and crack it on their turn. I respect it. Who has time? A Plains. Buh. So now we have Scatter Ray up. We'll probably Scatter Ray any play. But of course they don't play anything. So now what? The same old problem, isn't it? They're looking to be aggressive, so I'm not in a big hurry to land our Urza Power Stone Prodigy. An island, so they're just straight up 3-color at least. Just casual plain swamp island opener. And they go for Gurgling Anointer. Well, thank God we kept up Scatter Ray. Gurgling Anointer is an uncommon 3-mana 1/3 flyer. When you draw your second card each turn, it gets a 1/1 counter. When it dies, you get another target creature with mana value less than or equal to its power from the graveyard to the battlefield. I mean, that is a terrifyingly powerful creature. So, very happy about that choice. On our turn, we will go ahead and cast Urza Power Stone Prodigy. And we'll see what our opponent is up to. Another Myral Shield of Archive. So we've gone up against 2 Urza King of Crew or whatever and 2 Myral Shield of Archives. This is 4 mana 3/4. During your turn, your opponent can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. When it attacks, create X 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature tokens where X is the number of soldiers you control. I mean, good lord. We have to desynchronize that. 5 mana, they get to put on top or bottom of their library. It will obviously go on top. And then we get to scry 2, which is very good. So we get to draw a Weak Stone's Subjugation next turn. So they're going to recast this Myral, and we're going to get to Weak Stone Subjugate it. Yep, that's exactly what's happening. They missed a land drop, which is a good thing for us. So let's go ahead and cast Weak Stone Subjugation. Pay 3. Go to combat. Attack with Urza Power Stone Prodigy. And end the turn. Okay, what else you got, opponent? I mean, that Weak Stone Subjugation is very good. They are dipping into white, so a disenchant will get them out of this quite easily. Okay, so they cast Gix's Caress. Target opponent reveals their hand. They choose a non-land card from it. We discard that card, and they get a Power Stone. Probably making us discard a Depth Charge Colossus? I don't know. Both our cards are pretty threatening, honestly. Battlefield Butcher and Depth Charge Colossus. Yeah, okay. So they make us discard the Colossus. That does give us our own Power Stone, because Urza Power Stone Prodigy makes it so that whenever we discard an artifact, we get a Power Stone. Okay, so it's our turn. We draw a Scatter Ray, which sucks. It sucks because their Muriel makes it so we can't cast things on their turn, so a Scatter Ray is pretty bad. So instead we'll hit them for 1, we'll activate Urza Power Stone Prodigy, discard the Scatter Ray, and now we can cast both a Battlefield Butcher and a Wing Commando. And now we've got some attackers. The problem, however, is they have 5 lands and a Power Stone and 5 cards in hand. They cast Gixian Skullflayer. This is the 2/3 that grows every turn if you have 3 or more creatures in your graveyard. Currently, they have but a single creature in their graveyard, so it's good for us. Let's go ahead and activate our Urza Power Stone Prodigy. We drew a land this turn. Okay. I think we just attack with our Wing Commando, knocking them down to 15. And I guess we're going to go ahead and activate Battlefield Butcher because we can't do it on their turn. So now it's 20 to 13. They drew a disenchant, so now Muriel's active. So unless we find a way to kill it, toot sweet, we're in big, big trouble. They hit us for 5, and they make a soldier. It's 15 to 13. Yeah, it's very bad news for us. Draw Take Flight. Don't hate that at all. Let's play Take Flight, put it on Urza. Prowess triggers on Wing Commando. Opponent is thinking about something, so, I mean, this could be very bad. How great would it be if they tried Lauren's Escape on our Wing Commando again? No, instead they go for Overwhelming Remorse on our Urza. So, I mean, we had to go for that. There's no question. Hit them for 3, so it's 15 to 10. Play Philology Archaeologist, and we don't hit anything. We mill 3 lands, which is great. And we have a 1/4 to block. I mean, it's not great. It's got to be said. Because this turn they get to attack us again and make 2 more soldiers, at least. Depends what they play. I mean, we really don't have much of a right to complain about going against Urza, Emperor of Krug, and Muriel, Shield of Argive, when we have Blade Coil Serpent, Gix's Command, Temporal Anchor. So they're just attacking with Muriel, which makes sense. And I think we just have to take it. Sad to say. So now it's 12 to 10. We drew another island. Unfortunate. Attack with our Wing Commando. Just got a message from Arena saying system maintenance will occur soon. So who knows what that means. Let's go ahead and drain them for 2 with our Battlefield Butcher. I say drain. It's just making them lose 2. We're not draining anything. Do we play our land? I think we... I mean, the land doesn't mean anything because we can't do things on their turn. So it's not like, ooh, what do we have that we could do on your turn? Who knows? So we'll just play it. It's 12 to 6. I mean, basically this turn, they can attack with Muriel, and they'll make a total of 4 more soldier tokens. Oof. And they cast a Goblin Firebomb. Not a great card. 1 mana flash artifact. Pay 7, tap it, destroy target permanent. In this case, they're going to be able to kill either our Wing Commando or our Battlefield Butcher. Probably our Wing Commando, because it's a way to get a free 2 damage in, whereas the Battlefield Butcher has to pay 4 mana at this point. So, basically, what are our outs now? I think, as always, Gix's Command is a great out, because we could kill all their creatures. Kill all their little creatures and then make them sacrifice Myrel. Yep, now they're swinging with everything. Yeah, I mean, we basically have this exact turn to draw Gix's Command, or else we're dead. So it's 5 to 6 at this point. If we draw Gix's Command, we actually win, I think. Because we'll clear all their blockers. Give one of our creatures +2/+2. Oh, never mind. Of course, they've got the... We drew Blade Coil Serpent, which is a good draw, but it's not going to get us out of this situation. Because we can cast it. I mean, why not just cast it? So make them discard a card with our Blade Coil Serpent. We draw 2 islands, because why not? And we'll pass to them. And we are good and dead, right? Because we can block 3 creatures and still take 5 damage from the soldiers that get through. Depends how cautious they want to be, I guess. There's no reason to be cautious. We're tapped out. So it would be a pretty big blunder on their part not to just swing it with everything. They swing with everything, and that's the game. You know what? You live by the Mythic Rares, you die by the Mythic Rares. It happens. Pretty good stuff overall. I was pleased with this deck. As I said, Overall, the deck list I consider to be pretty middling. What were kind of the shining stars? Weakstone Subjugation is a good removal spell. We knew that. Take Flight, I think, was actually really good. When you can land it, and it's not that hard to land, it's basically like the Temporal Anchor, but better. Like, it's not going to mill you out, and it doesn't cost 1,000,000 mana. So definitely Take Flight is going to go way up in my pick order. I would say Urza Powerstone Prodigy. I've had it in both my decks so far that I've actually published on MTG ASMR, and he's just a workhorse. Just he loots every single turn, gets in some damage every once in a while, makes Power Stones every once in a while. Actually a pretty strong card. Goring Warplow, of course. We only had one copy, and it didn't get to shine here, but I do love that card. So I think Take Flight is kind of the big winner of this draft. Thank you for joining me today. I will see you in more Brothers War drafts here on MTG ASMR. Brother.